Oh, hello guys, my hair's gone grey since the last time we've met, but let's not talk about my greying hair, let's talk about this thing here, the Ploopy Trackball Classic. Woo! So, after some time of being quite happy using the elecom Huge, which I'm going to compare the Ploopy to, I fell into the consumer risk trap of thinking about trying out a new trackball, which I don't need, and found the Ploopy Classic, which is modeled after the legendary Trackball Explorer and comes with a completely 3D printed shell, roller bearings, open source design, QMK firmware and PMW 3360 tracking sensor and Omron D2LS21 switches. I have to say the shape is really nice, plus ball movements are smooth and precise. Ploopy says the choice of USB Type B was because it was cheap and sturdy, but I have to say that most people buying this would not care about spending a bit more for Type C port. Being able to configure basic button mappings using VIA and messing around with the QMK firmware for even more customizability is great. I really wish this would become the norm for all input devices. The hands are not that parallel when resting on the Ploopy. As you can see on the, I hope you can see this, I think this is fine. They are quite flat and parallel to the desk on the elecom Huge, and on the Ploopy it's a bit more tilted, which is supposed to be more ergonomic. And I think the fact that you can just replace the ball, and it's a standard size, so you can just throw in some billiard balls or whatnot inside, is also a nice touch, because good luck at replacing this thing. But not all is rosy with the Ploopy Classic. The scroll wheel is really bad. I don't know if you can see this, but it has way too much play and there's no feedback. I mean, it scrolls just fine, but it's not really precise. And this thing on the elecom Huge, it has some sort of haptic feedback. It does not feel nice to use. And those up and down buttons, I never really use them. I do not care for them. And yeah, it's not that great. Let me say it like that. So for the Ploopy to being worse in that regard, it's quite a huge disappointment. And yeah, this is another thing. When you move the Ploopy around, you really have to get used to the ball popping just out. I mean, most of the time I do not really care. It's when you're transporting it in your backpack, you have to be aware of that, but it makes cleaning a lot easier, because this is a big problem trying to jank out the trackball on this baby. Yeah, it's not that nice. Anyhow, well, I also noticed that the shell of the Ploopy, for me, my hand gets quite sweaty. And I think this is not the case with this cushioned, gel cushioned, whatever material, this pillow on the Huge. But on the other hand, when this stuff peels off, there's just not a good way to replace it, unfortunately. So let's hope that the rest of it stays on for quite a while. And yeah, while the thumb buttons, they feel really nice if you press them. Let's see if we can get a better look. Yeah, I mean, they have a nice click, they feel really nice, but the other two buttons here, you can see, I don't know, they feel much more inconsistent while clicking them, and I'm really, I don't know, I wish they were a bit longer, like or shaped differently. The buttons on the Huge, they are much easier to press and they operate with much less force as well. So yeah, and this button, sometimes when you click it, feels like it gets stuck. So yeah, I don't know. That's. I mean, you can mess around with the button placement. You can open the whole thing up and optimize this. You can also add some sort of, I don't know, some sort of paper, fold it a couple of times and put some preload on the buttons, so they will be a bit less stiff. and take less force to press, which is the next thing I want to talk about. While using the Ploopy, after around 3 weeks every day, I developed some pain in my thumb, and yeah, it was the only thing that really changed in my day-to-day workflow, let's call it like that, and my routine was using the Ploopy. And after stopping using it for some time, the pain went away quite fast. So yeah, it's definitely coming from Ploopy. And I have to say the clicks on the elecom are just so much lighter. So I think that's the issue, because let's be honest, you're fighting against gravity a bit when pressing with those buttons with your thumb. Those kinds of trackball designs, I mean, they are fine, but I'm a heavy user of my input devices, and I used to click a lot. So I want the clicks to be as okay, I lost my mind for a second. So I want the clicks to be really light, if this makes any sense to you. Like on the keyboard, I'm not a big fan of heavy switches for typing a lot. I think it just adds unnecessary strain to the movement, and will make some sort of stuff like RSI even worse. Yeah. And honestly, I use the elecom now for, I don't know, over 3 years, and I've never developed any kind of pain in my thumb before I switched to this. So yeah, that's quite a shame, because I really like the firmware, the open source design, the sensor, the bearings, the ability to swap out the ball, the way it looks. I mean, it's really a nice device, but unfortunately, yeah, like things are now, I cannot really recommend it in its current form, at least for me. And using it, to be honest, was a bit of a learning experience, and made me realize that maybe trackballs where you use the left and right click with your thumb are not the best option for me, since I click a lot. I know I'm a filthy casual who doesn't use key bindings for everything. Maybe I should optimize my workflow towards my hand leaving the keyboard less, but with this in mind, maybe something like the Ploopy Adapt would be more appropriate for me, because this whole thing made me think about how I was using Kensington Slim Blade for many years, and I think probably around 7 years, and it was really extremely comfortable. But the clicks, man, I don't know, I never liked the feel of the clicks on the Slim Blade, and for me this was a huge deal breaker. So after that I transitioned back to a mouse, and from that to the Huge. Now I went with the Ploopy. Unfortunately, I'm just going to put it on some workstation which I'm not using that much, so it still finds some use, and maybe I play around with optimizing the clicks, and I will test the theory if I make them a bit lighter. Maybe I won't develop the same problem as before, and I will also have a look at dialing in those two buttons a bit more. But as you can see on the Huge, those buttons are so much longer, so you have much more force applied if you press them there, and you don't have to be that precise with where your finger is right now if you're coming off from the ball like that. As you get the idea. Okay, let's not make this any longer than it already is. I think I communicated my thoughts on the Ploopy to you guys quite well. Otherwise, just roast me in the comments, and have a nice day. Goodbye.